Hello, I'm FX Toycat, and a funny late game problem that you can have in Minecraft is having too much of a resource. I had too much dirt, so I built a flatland. I had too much netherrack, so I covered a mountain in it, and right now I have too many levels. I haven't had anything that I've needed to spend any of my XP on for literally months now, and so I'm level 78 right here, and it's super inefficient. The reason it's so inefficient is because every additional level you add makes it slightly harder to get to the next one, or in other words, every additional level costs more experience than the one before, and so you're kind of wasting levels by going anywhere above 30. And so today I wanted to take my 78 levels and I wanted to use them in the most efficient way possible, except I've already enchanted all of my tools to the max, including my flint and steel, yes, and so instead of enchanting all the way to the max and using them usefully, I'm going to be using 78 levels in a really dumb way so I can get back down to level 30 and have some fun with it. With that said, let's show you the dumbest ways you can spend levels in Minecraft, and the first and most obvious thing you can do is enchant the items that you really don't need to enchant, but you kind of want to anyway. An example of this, of course, would be shears. I always miss my enchanted shears. I don't know where I put them, but I lost them a long time ago, and so let's take some shears, and let's grab some of my favorite books for these, some unbreaking, some mending, and let's just throw these on the shears. You know what? I'm going to treat myself to some mending and breaking shears right now, and I'm going to make sure I have multiple copies, and that way I will never be in a situation where I don't have my fully enchanted shears. It's an important thing, and it's totally worth spending 3 levels on every single time. Do you like my level now? It's very nice, I agree. But then on top of just enchanting shears, there's other things you can do too. One of my favorites would have to be the idea of taking enchanted books and combining them together to make other books. Usually this happens naturally. Say this book, for example, Sharpness, Punch, and Power. This came on a book that I found when I was fishing, I think, or I got from an end city. Another example of incompatible enchantments would be this one, Fire Aspect and Punch. You cannot put both of these enchantments on the same tool. You can put one on a sword or one on a bow, but you can't put it on other things. Actually, what happens if I try to put this on shears? Does it even physically let me? It doesn't. That's a shame. But you know what the best thing to do with these enchanted books is? It's to try and collect as many as you can, and so I have this entire chest full of books, and I have this other entire chest full of books. But hear me out here, what if we take some of the best books that we have right here, such as Looting and Silk Touch, or Frostwalker, Bane of Arthropods and Piercing, and we combine them together. This is a very expensive ordeal, so here is Respiration, Projectile Protection, and Feather Falling. If we combine those together with Frostwalker, Bane of Arthropods and Piercing, as you can see, we then get a book which has 6 enchantments on, but it costs 11 levels. But here's the fun game. How many enchantments can we get on a book? The answer is it's actually pretty hard to know, because every single time you enchant something, you reduce the number of enchantments that thing can have in the future. But I'm going to take some of my most enchanted and weird book combinations that I've just never really cared about. I mean, Thorns, Looting, and Fire Protection. Haven't ever used that. And we're going to take these books and combine them together until I literally cannot anymore, either because my experience goes down to 0, or because, probably more realistically, I get to the level where books will not let me add enchantments anymore. So let's spend another 9 levels bringing this book up to here. Then let's add, this one on there. I think that makes some sense. Yeah, let's do that. Then let's take our magical book and let's add these 3 sets of enchantments. And then let's take this book and add, is it Lure or Riptide? Which are we going to achieve more with? I think this is a pretty good one. Do we agree with that? Or should we go for this one with, yeah, I think we're going to get more enchantments from this. So let's go there. This is our mega enchanted books. Okay, we've now got to the stage where it's 37 levels. I don't think I can foreseeably add that. But here's the thing about having such an amazing enchanted book. Besides the fact that it fills up my entire screen, we can now take this enchanted book and we can put it on any item. As long as it can take any one of those enchantments, we can even a wooden sword, one of Minecraft's lowest items that you probably shouldn't be enchanting. We can take these wooden swords and we can... Oh, we literally cannot. It is too expensive. We've made an enchanted book that is so heavily leveled and so filled up with enchantments, we literally can't use it on anything. This is now an enchanted book that cannot achieve its one purpose of adding enchantments to things. There's no way that's true. Surely if I take a unenchanted pair of boots, which I'll do right now, surely I must be able to add it to there. Pro tip, by the way, always have a tool that you need to mend out when you're doing something like this. But yeah, if I grab these diamond boots, surely they can take No, yeah, I've made an enchanted book that is genuinely unusable as an enchanted book. This is the ultimate flex, my good friends. It's something that is going to make you look like you're on a weird modded server, because people who mod, people who like alter values for the games, NBT edit, love to make this sort of thing. But you can have one of these in legit survival, and all it will cost you is about 69 levels. And if that's not a good use of your experience, I don't know what is. Should I put this over here, maybe? Yeah, that's a good place for it. Let's just hope no one ever reads this thing. Actually, here's another fun thing we can do. We can take this enchanted book, we can throw it in there, and we can rename it, if we really want to. Although, it's gonna cost us 32 levels to change its... What, 32 levels? I didn't realize renaming got more expensive as you, kept on adding things in there. That seems a little mean. If I want to just rename, let's take a more fun example. If I want to rename my shears, I can do that for just one level, I think. Yeah, shears with as many S's as we want. Which, by the way, great name for an item. Or even if we take these, I bet it's going to cost us just... Oh, it's as many... It doubles every time you add a new enchantment. So it's going to be 4 for these, which means it's going to be 2 for these, right? So shit. Ah, there we go. We've learned the system. So if we really want, we can in fact make shears. Is it worth doing? Is maybe a different question. Okay, you know what? Actually, I've changed my mind on this. When you scroll through the hotbar, you can see your tools, you can see what they have, and then you can see shears. And then also this. Honestly, these enchanted books are just a great way to cover up someone's screen. Look at the percentage of my screen real estate that is now hidden behind semi-transparent black boxes. It seems like too much, and this isn't even the final form you can go for it, but yeah, I'm gonna need to get some more experience just to show you dumb ways to spend experience. So here's the question you might be asking: how do you get so much experience? How did I humanly get to 77 levels was I at the start of this video? 78 levels? How do you ever get anywhere close to that? It seems kind of silly if you ask me, and allow me to explain right now. I'm just gonna throw some shears in here, in addition to one of these. I'm keeping these shears on me though. This is my special thing. Because most people's response to this question is they have an XP farm somewhere in their world, and I did make an XP farm once. It was an Enderman farm, although it's broken since then, because trying to make an XP farm in Minecraft is something that isn't really ever intentional. Instead, you're using mechanics that at some point are going to be fixed. Right now, it is possible in Java by using piglins, apparently. It's possible on Bedrock too by using tridents, because if you throw a trident and then it kills something, even 5 minutes later, it's your trident that did it, and so you can make XP farms on Bedrock very effectively. You can also make ones that involve you last hitting a mob. However, I personally don't use these mechanics, in part because it's just a lot of work and it's not the part of Minecraft I'm personally most fond of, but in part because honestly, there's so many ways to pick up just minor amounts of experience that are kind of fun and break up your gameplay and add some fun to it. So I always use this village as my favorite example. My shovel, for instance, is here at like half filled, and so I use my shovel, I hold this out as I trade with villagers because I have, just a few eggs lying around, and so I trade those villagers some of my eggs for their emeralds, and as you can see, in no time at all, I go from level 0 to level 2, I go from level 2 to level 4, and, it's very, very simple to pick up experience. Once you've, funnily enough, once you're experienced enough at Minecraft, once you've gone far enough into a world, it's very easy to turn that experience into experience, if you forgive the way that works. So here's me now trading some melon slices. If you find a village as of the current update, you can't trade melon slices, it has to be melon blocks, but still, it's very, very easy to sell things to villagers, and honestly, if you have enough emeralds, which you probably do have too many emeralds, I think is a common problem for people with villager farms, you can just start buying things off those same villagers, because I like golden carrots, I don't mind buying them as opposed to having a gold farm, and so actually, things work out pretty well for me, and I can get some levels, and now my shovel is more like 3/5 complete, or 2/3. You can tell me where you think that level is. So trading with villagers is a great way, but the real way that I just pick up a ton is that I do a lot of mining for streams and videos and stuff, and you can get a ton of experience from mining now. So I'll freely admit that not everyone goes mining as often as I do, after all, even though it's Minecraft, caves, are lacking in some ways. The exploration aspect is a little missing, but here is one stack of iron ingots that I've mined, which means that you only need to mine about 20 to 30 iron ore, and then use, obviously, a fortune pickaxe, which is one of those ways where the rich get richer. By having this special enchantment, you can get a lot more for every single ore that you mine, but now just taking a single stack of iron ingots, you can see how I went from level 8 to level 9 instantly. You can see how, here's another 42, we go from level 9 to level 11, and it's very, very easy to just smelt up the things that you have and come along here. But the even smarter thing you can do if you have a lot of ore, and you don't want to manually do this because a lot of people want experience that happens somewhat automatically, what I recommend doing is having a furnace that runs like this one and smelts a whole ton at once. This is one mining trip worth of iron. It's a whole chest load. It's a lot, right? But if we mine this blast furnace, because it's all been happening automatically, all of the experience that has been stored in the blast furnace will be released all at once, and so we can probably fully charge up our netherite shovel. Let's test that theory. So here is my shovel, going all the way to fully charged, and also, notably enough, the wait, how did that get placed over there? But you can see how, notably enough, also I got to max level and fully repaired my shovel. It really is that easy if you want to do it. Where is it now? It's in here. It really is that easy should you want to do it to get a huge amount of experience passively in the background, but it's not truly passively because you do have to smelt the ores yourself, and that means you have to go mining, and it's not a fully passive activity. And I guess that's my kind of like ethos I want to promote with this video, is that yep, experience farms are a great idea if you like the idea of solving a problem and solving it forever. It's an incredibly smart thing to do. Why would you not? You're being silly by not considering it. But if you think that like, oh, I need experience, I guess I need an XP farm, my point here is like, actually not really, because here's another example. The way that Minecraft farms have to work is that too many mobs will slow down your performance, and so you're kind of in this perpetual state of managing the number of mobs in a farm. I can prove this pretty easily by, like, I don't know, breeding all of the sheep here, and then noticeably, you'll notice the performance will go down a tiny bit. I'm sure this is a problem everyone's had in their world at some point. You try to make too many mobs, and then all of a sudden, you don't have as much space for more of these, right? It's a whole thing. And so, yeah, you always are in a state, in my opinion, of actively culling or not culling mobs. Like, okay, there's too many sheep here, let's just murder some. And here's the thing, both breeding and killing mobs will give you experience. Minecraft is rewarding you for being a farmer, more or less is the way I would put it. And so because you get rewarded so much for being a farmer in Minecraft, why don't you run through here and do that every now and then? And so just like doing these few passive activities while you're going places actually can be a great source of experience. As you've seen from the fact that I went straight from level 0 to level 32, and that's before we talk about the fact that you can store experience in all sorts of other ways besides furnaces and villager trades. My favorite one is actually the fact that you can just store certain ores lying around. So I've got a ton of diamonds here, should I need them. I've got, I think in this chest, yeah, I've got a lot of gold. At some point, I'm gonna mine with a fortune pickaxe. This 1,000 gold, by the way, this is literally 1,000 if you want to count them. Actually, it might not be. I think I've used some since. But it took me an hour and 59 minutes, I think, to mine 1,000 gold ore, which is worth about 3,000. It's very easy to get your hands on a lot of ores if you like mining. You kind of just do it in the background. And so yeah, that's just a reminder about like, there's a lot of tasks that get you experience before even considering that you have to kill mobs when you run across them sometimes, before even considering that there are so many XP sources in Minecraft that happen by themselves, and then also your other farms might just coincidentally create XP. Like for example my creeper farm, which is here solely so I can get my hands on some gunpowder. As I murder the creepers, I get my hands on some experience as well. And so yeah, I just find that once you reach the stage in the game where you have fully enchanted tools, some people argue I don't actually have fully enchanted tools and armor, because I think it's my leggings. They just have regular protection on, or I think my boots have fire protection instead of regular protection. Actually, that is something I should fix, isn't it? You know what? Yeah, I guess I might as well. You know what? Here you go, internet. For the one person out there who's unhappy with my current protection situation, I'm gonna start using protection just for you. You know, I thought it's a pretty intimate thing, my decision to use protection or not. But if you want to get involved with it, internet, here you go. Protection free. And then Protection Free Luck of the Sea. We'll combine these two books together, just for the fun of it. And there we go. Now I can take off my silly fire protection boots, and we can put on some regular protection. Or some Riptide, if we are so inclined. No, I can't. I wonder why I can't. Can you not put protection on boots? Is it not... Like, isn't Protection 4 better than... Is it because I combine the books together? Can I put this on them? Okay, I can put that on them. Interesting. Okay, well, you know what? To those of you who say that my netherite boots are not protected enough, maybe it's the luck of the sea that's messing it up. Nope. You can't replace... Do I just have to delete all of those things? Is that what the game wants me to do? I don't want to do that. Well, there you go, internet. In case you're curious about why I don't have fully enchanted boots, because Minecraft doesn't want me to, okay? Like, I know I could probably build a pair from scratch, but is that what you really want me to do here, internet? Fine, fine. Yeah, let's go. Let's do this. Let's grab some lapis lazuli. Let's do real enchanting. That's what people get excited for. This isn't a video titled, you know, fun ways to spend your experience. It's dumb ways to do so. There we go. Actually, this is this is the perfect two. Now we just add unbreaking and mending, and then also add the other thing, and then we can add our netherite ingot on top of that. So unbreaking and mending time, and then also depth strider. We want like a high level of that, or we could put frostwalker on there. Which of those is the better enchantment, internet? See, these are the debates that are so hard that we just kind of conclude, let's not even bother. So anyway, what are other dumb ways to spend your experience besides, you know, for instance, renaming enchanted books, which is of course the best thing to do. Enchanted Asterix book. Oh, it costs double as much now. Well, here are some fun things you can do. You can rename all sorts of zany items in Minecraft. Do you have a stack of emeralds? Rename the stack of emeralds Bob. And now you've got a stack of emeralds that don't work like all the other ones. They won't stack together in the same ways. So if you want to take these and like, okay, I'm going to put my emeralds in the chest of my other emeralds. And now they don't stack together. So that's really, really useful. If you want to annoy people by filling up their inventory, you can use lots of individual things. I've renamed these, I've renamed, for example, these sticks Follow Out IBX Toycat to get some little advertising in there. But also you can combine going with like some amount of utility with some amount of fun if you want to. So as an example, just for fun here is my here's my carrot on the stick collection that I have right here. You can take these carrots on a stick and you can add an enchantment. You know, I really like the mending or the unbreaking enchantment. So let's add unbreaking onto here so that I can pilot my pigs for as long as I want. But as well as adding the enchantment on there, you know, you can make a funny joke like, oh, the carrot on a stick is actually how to attract vegans, you know, because vegans love the carrots, right? There we go. Now we can offend entire groups of people. And so yeah, adding little name tags to things, actually, especially if you're going to use them inside of item frames like this, is a really smart thing to do. Damn it, I found another use that actually isn't useless. So like, this is my trident chest, right? And so, and this is my bow chest, and this, I'm going to enchant this up just so like, it looks better. This is where my OP crossbow is. This chest has my OP crossbow. Hey, you can actually name a crossbow that. And then if you throw that in there, now I know where the OP crossbow is. I don't actually think it's that OP. It's actually, yeah, this is the highest tier besides quick charge that we can make. But even then, we can go through here and we can be like, you know what? Why does it have to be the highest tier besides quick charge? Why don't we riddle through here until we solve that? Anyway, I'm sure you get the point by now. You can do all sorts of accidentally useful things in Minecraft. The only way to really make your experience true life sayings. Life savers. I've got this funny thing where if I'm saying something and typing something, I'll mix up the two things to a level where I'm not sure what I'm doing at all. Like, I cannot multitask. See, and now my lifesavers chest has shields and totem undying, including, by the way, you can enchant shields. Really dumb way to spend experience, unless you use your shield a lot. Who's using his shield a lot, though? Have a totem undying like a real man, and just don't get hit. I don't care if you don't want to be a real man. You're gonna have to do it anyway, because in Minecraft, we're all gendered. We discussed that a few weeks ago. It's very important you learn about that. Anyway, with that said, though, there are so many dumb ways to spend experience. You can even, if you want to, rename your blocks. Here are my chests, for example. But you know what? I think that chest is a bit inappropriate, so I'm gonna rename them to upper bodies. There you go, and there we go. I'm gonna forget I've done that, and at some point, a while from now, I'm gonna get a long bout of confusion about what I've done to myself, and that's the real beauty of this renamed thing right here. But yeah, you can rename all sorts of things all the time. There's so many dumb ways to spend experience, and the only way to make it ultimate dumb, if you want to do that, is you can then just disenchant them back to normal. Oh, what did I just do? I didn't know you could full screen Minecraft Bedrock. You can disenchant them back to normal like this. Here is my... Oh. You can't Are these stuck with that name forever until I rename them back to chests? They apparently are. Although if we wanted to rename them back to chests, it'd be like... Yeah, it's in that funny italic font that shows that it's not a real name. And so yeah, you can in fact rename things back to their normal names. Just this... Oh, I broke my anvil. You can do that, except now it's in italics. You ever want to spend two experience just to rename your food so that it's slightly italic-y? You can do that, and okay, you get the point. So many dumb ways you can spend experience. At a certain point in Minecraft, that's the only way to spend experience too, and I think they could really do some work on fixing this. Oh, here's the wacky thing. You can combine bobs and emeralds together, and you can make yourself, if you really want to, a block of emerald, and then you can uncraft that back into emeralds, and then you can add some more emeralds and some more bobs, and then at some point you don't even know that you had bobs to begin with. That's the level of Minecraft we live in, and I don't know what I think about that, honestly. But yeah, speaking of things I don't know what I'm thinking about, the experience system in Minecraft in general is something that I feel like I have some thoughts about, and so let's share those as we work on the obvious thing to work on. That's right, we're here at the furnace biome because the one complaint people have about using furnaces for experience and mining is often they don't have enough furnaces, and so I figured the easiest way to solve that would be having furnaces that cover an entire biome. This way, you'll never have a shortage of them. I mean, I also have a furnace house, multiple furnace houses, and then I also have multiple auto furnaces, but this is for when I have additional smelting needs, and so this is not going to be any furnaces, by the way. As a special treat for your Let's Play viewing eyes, we're going to be taking some cobbled deep slate and turning that into furnaces too. And you might be thinking, oh no, Toy Cat, there's no crafting table around. How are you going to do that? Good news, this is not just a furnace biome. We've also got some crafting tables where we can do precisely that. Have you ever thought to yourself, wow, this cobbled deep slate sure is great. What if I turned it straight into furnaces? If you have, then you know what, we're on the same page. How wonderful that is. So yeah, this is... every time this shows up in background gameplay, I get more and more confused people being like, but how does the... Why even... And I enjoy that a lot. That is one of my favorite things. That encourages me to use it more for gameplay in the background. Like, I feel like making people ask questions is probably a good thing. Like, you know, this my point about not using XP farms, I actually totally see, and I even understand more, the opinion of people who say things like, well, I use the XP farm because it makes my life easier, and then I can, you know, like, it's like a fun activity by itself, even in some cases. But the reason I make the argument to the contrary is because I feel like having different tasks in Minecraft is sometimes this big downer, but it's sometimes a big upside. Sometimes when you're getting into Minecraft, it can be a real challenge when there's only one, like, you know, if you leave Minecraft midway through something, like if right now I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna quit and come back tomorrow, and tomorrow I don't want to place furnaces, now I'm gonna have to like remove all the furnaces, I have to work out the new thing that I'm doing, whereas having like some amount of basic upkeep, usually, you know, if it's upkeep that's unnecessary, that's silly, but some basic things that like, you know, give you a glance around the world, I think that's an important way to like see things and be inspired, because Minecraft is a creative game, funnily enough, for someone who plays survival all the time. You know, there is creativity that is involved in this game. Like, a creativity a lot of us didn't realize we had before playing this, I feel like, is true for me and a lot of people I speak to. But it's a creativity nonetheless, and one of the simplest things you can do for creativity is just give yourself new stimuli. You ever look around at the world and realize, like, you know what? I really like the way that big ice pathway looks. What if it was like 5 times thicker? Or what if instead of being so long, it was just a big cube? Or, you know, there's all sorts of weird ideas that you can be inspired by when you look at things and you just question, how could that be better? But yeah, that's my experience at least. But first I want to talk more about, I guess I want to talk about XP in Minecraft, because this video has been about dumb ways to use it, mostly because of the fact that, yeah, I literally went 3 months without thinking or wanting to use my XP in any other way. Of course, you can make the argument that I should have been horrified this whole time at my fire protection boots as opposed to real protection. I've said before many times, actually, fire protection is the most useless of the protections too. So, like, I should be horrified at what I've done, really, shouldn't I? I should be waking up every morning and going, oh, oh, I just had a nightmare where I had fire protection, and then, you know, like, loading up Minecraft and being horrified at the reality I live in. But the reason that that's not me is because actually, yeah, you don't really, especially in a long-term survival world, you don't really have that many threats you're interacting with on a daily basis. I think this is something a lot of people have said is like a weak point in Minecraft, is that the Wither is the furthest forward the game goes, and admittedly, you do need to fight the Wither multiple times, even. Like, really, you don't need to, I guess. You can choose to fight the Wither multiple times, but there's no other, like, end game points, things like that. There's no boss that is based on exploration, kind of like how the Ender Dragon is after that. And I think that this is something we need by itself, but what I also think that Minecraft needs, besides late game content, which is obviously a big must for anyone, I think that's something that Minecraft could benefit from, is having more ways to take advantage of the XP that you're picking up, and more ways to make the experience feel more like experience, as opposed to just another commodity, which is also farmed. Because, you know, the fact that even, you know, like, if you read the comments on this video, even though I've made all these caveats about, like, okay, yeah, obviously XP farms are the obvious way to do this, that, the other, there are still people who are going to be espousing the benefits of having an XP farm, and for a lot of long-term survival players, it's just the way to do things. Like, what? Wait, there are other ways to do that? Why would you? Do you not know how to make an XP farm, Toycat? I mean, I can point you to a tutorial if so. And it's like, wow, you know, I do not know how to work YouTube and or Google. You're right, thank you, internet stranger. That is like a genuine thing that I guess people are imagining sometimes. But the other thing in that is that, like, yeah, I feel like XP being this, like, thing you actually get for doing things in the world is a good thing. I think that, you know, fixing stuff like the furnace bug, or fixing stuff like, if you don't know, there's a way to harvest a lot of XP with furnaces that I've tried not to mention till it came out, which actually, by the time this comes out, it might have already been patched. So, you know what? Ignore what I just said right there. There's all sorts of different things that they could perhaps be doing. Maybe we could perhaps say. But my major point is that I think experience should be a system that rewards you, and I think an easier way to make that happen is, rather than our very rigid system where you can add things onto things using an anvil, maybe there should be and you can trade villagers for most enchantments. What if you couldn't trade villagers for all enchantments? Like, I thought that a really good balance I had in my, like, that I thought existed, but in reality didn't, was I used to trade with diamond pickaxes for villagers, and the trade-off there is they would only give you pickaxes enchanted to level 15, so you got efficiency efficiency 2, unbreaking 3, and then you have to combine those together to make the good ones, or you could just use almost very good enchantments, but they cost you a lot less effort than, you know, the alternative, which is going and grabbing a whole ton. So I thought that was actually, you know, like, even though it wasn't the real balance, I think that was a really good balance. I think that having, say, efficiency go up to 6 or something, but you can only trade up to efficiency 4 with villagers, really good idea. Having enchantments that are exclusive to the enchantment table, or even crazier and probably less fun, if I'm being honest, would be like having it be exclusive to the enchanted book. Enchanting books. You have to just randomly get it while enchanting a book. Probably a good way to get people very much out of affection with a thing, but also a fun way, in my opinion, that you could make those systems fun. And so, yeah, I think that experience is something that we should probably add some more to in Minecraft. I think there's all sorts of ways you could do this, and I think, like with everything in Minecraft, they have to acknowledge there is a technical community who will be able to break whatever system you throw at them, and given that that's the case, is it smart, therefore, to put so much effort into making it specifically, you know, like if you make a system that's specifically there so that it encourages player interaction in some weird way. Like, an example I think of is the frogs and the magma slimes. In 1.19, when a frog eats a magma slime, you get a frog light. And that's a weird interaction that, like, there's no way you can, and it's farmable, of course, because magma spawners exist, etc. And so it's impossible to have an item in Minecraft that isn't going to be cleverly farmed in some massive way. But ultimately, that is some of the point. But I think, and ultimately, when they focus on making it, like, harder and harder, they make it harder for the regular player, while also still making it farmable. So there's like another challenge, I would say, a struggle, perhaps we could even say, as like, yeah, where do you draw the happy line versus the not happy line on that? And who knows for sure what the real answer is? All I know is that I'm grabbing my cobblestone, I'm turned into furnaces, and I'm living a happy life as a result. So I think that's enough for now. In case you're curious, here is my fully mined chunk. It's not a fully mined chunk anymore because they lowered the definition of what a chunk includes. And also, this wall apparently doesn't exist when you look at it from certain angles. I wonder why that is. Can I fly into it? Nope, it's in. So yeah, I'm gonna fly back now. I'm gonna talk about experience, because of course, like, Minecraft experience is a system that needs some reform, but something that annoys me about the real world is how important experience is. Especially, like, as a younger person, you're like, wait, what can experience possibly mean? And, you know, like, oftentimes when you see, air quotes, experienced people doing something, it just means someone is going to be doing something very slowly and inefficiently to your eyes, and ignoring all the new and cool methods of doing something. This has always been true, like, I don't know, in my experience in the business world, or my, you know, like, I don't know, like, I remember when I was 14, I mentioned before, I ran a website when I was 14, but I interacted with a lot of other business owners, like, in the same space as me. I try not to talk too much about it, just you know, like, as safety precaution. But well, I remember one of the other business owners who was like a real monster to me. He didn't know I was a 14-year-old, so maybe that's why he was a real. But one of the things I remember, he spent like a whole afternoon working on his like email policy because he was worried that he would full breach of the Canadian spam laws. He lived somewhere in northeastern America, and I remember just thinking like, man, that's really dumb. You know, like, I'm gonna be real with you. The odds of Canada getting in contact with you about your breach of their spam laws, probably not a very big deal. It's called the Can Spam Act, I think. It might not even be Canadian, actually. It might just be called Can Spam, and I've assumed it was all this time. But it's like, yeah, you didn't really need to. Or when you see people like, you know, assume that, like, okay, the way you do YouTube is like you make sure that you put 16 out, and it's like there's all these sorts of weird ways of doing a thing that just become obsolete. Like, I remember something I used to do even after OBS came out, and you could seamlessly record gameplay and audio together, which is mostly how I record the raw footage for these videos, by the way. I still used to do the old method, which you had to do for like most of my my history recording here on YouTube, is you record the audio and you record the video separately, and you work out how to sync them up. If you watch my old videos from like 2017 or before, you'll always notice they start with a jump, because I could sync up the A button press with the jump, and I do it that way, and I was like, yeah, I found a clever solution to this problem. But I was so addicted to my clever solution to a problem that I stuck with the clever solution, or you might not even think it's clever, honestly. I was proud of it. A lot of other people had to like spend a long time looking at the video and like making sure, but that was like my clever, again, air quotes clever. I mean, I'm definitely not clever, but that was my solution to the thing. And I was so addicted to like my solution that even when the problem was unnecessary, I was like, yeah, but my solution's still a good one. And I think about that happens all the time. As you get experienced, you don't actually get experienced, you just get like more stuck in your ways in a certain way, which is a sad reality of like what happens as we grow older, right? We just get more and more stuck in the things that we're doing. But anyway, the reason that I mention this, the reason I bring all of this up, is because I think that one of the things I've slowly realized as I have aged and I've gotten experience is like, yeah, actually, a lot of that experience really is valuable. Like, as an example, when there is any form of drama, like, I'm talking about internet drama, like, YouTube drama or whatever, or I'm also talking about, like, interpersonal drama. Like, I get so stressed when someone dislikes me for some arbitrary reason, which is why this is the worst, this is the worst job to have on the planet for me. Like, one of the weird things of being about being on the internet is you can read 99% positive comments, and then you read one negative one, and you're like, why does he hate me so much? I don't why wouldn't, you know, like, we have a weird desire to be liked. Or maybe just, you know, weird people like me talking on the internet do. But, so as someone who, like, hates that, I'm now, like, more prepared, like, okay, it's fine. This seems like, you know, your monkey brain is telling you this is the biggest issue in the world. Because, you know, like, social issues, like, being... Like, a lot of people wonder, like, why do you need human contact to not be depressed? Like, why, you know, even though you don't like human contact, which is, I'd say that's where I fall on the spectrum. Don't like human contact, know I need it to not get seriously, you know, depressed. It's like, how does that make any sense? And the answer is like, well, you know, think about our entire biology that has led us to this stage in development if you were cast out from the group, you know, when we were living in caves, you would die. Your brain makes you depressed because you have a very good reason to like think like, I want to just solve this no matter what it is. You've got all these principles in your head that, you know, like are taking precedent, but like you really should solve this problem or you will die. And so, you know, sending you the strongest possible negative reception signals to I am being socially outcast is actually a pretty smart thing for your body to do. Actually, wait, instead of eating these cooked beef, how about I eat some golden carrots in italics? Isn't that a good idea? Anyway, yeah, I think that's always been my view, at least. That like, yeah, it makes sense that we socially need some things, and honestly, just take advantage of it. Start to lean into those social systems, see how it works. It's one of those things I've only gained of experience. When I was like a 14-year-old, I described myself as like a misanthrope. Like, yeah, I really didn't. I feel some amount of this. Like, I really don't care about the average human. You know, like if someone's like, oh yeah, this is so tragic. It's this. You know, like when someone says like 100 lives lost, and everyone's like, oh, that's so terrible. It's like that's a statistic. You know, there's 101 lives lost is not 1% worse than one life lost. I'm not thinking about the additional. You know, like when there is a terror incident or something, like I guess this is actually something a lot of people keep even as they grow up. But like a fun fact, if you don't know it, is that I think it's 150 9/11s worth of COVID deaths in America, and people say like, oh, but people don't mourn. People haven't gone into the same like action path to prevent this like they did with that particular event. And it's like, yeah, actually. First of all, the law of large numbers. This is supposedly a Stalin quote that like one man's death is a tragedy, a million's is just a statistics. you know, 100 million people starved in the Chinese famine. No, that's the higher end. I think it's like the lower end is 15 million. But 15 million to 100 million people starved, and the fact that we can say there is a range that big, and both of those numbers seem somewhere close to the same amount of bad. There's 85 million human lives of difference between those two estimates, and we're just like, yeah, somewhere, so, you know, like something like that died. It's like, ooh, yeah, that shows the level that we have of that as humans. We aren't really like, you know, same with friendship. Like we're not really built to have these social connections that go as big as they do, and it's a very weird thing. Anyway, so experience is important, and one of the reasons I've realized this as I grow older is because like I used to think people just said that as a way to be like, yeah, I'm smarter because I'm older, and that's because of experience. And I think maybe a lot of people still do that, truthfully. But I also think about how all sorts of things that seem obvious when you're young, like, oh yeah, obviously this happens. It's like, oh no, that's not obviously how people work. I think the real thing that you get from experience, like the reason people are, the reason people value experience so much, the reason people say like, oh, it's good that you're experienced or whatever, is because ultimately knowing how other humans react to a thing is actually a very hard skill to ascertain. And if you're curious as to what I mean by that, think about basically any event where something bad has happened. Did people around you act how you imagined they would? My guess is no. An example of this is when I was in school. Here's a long repressed story for you all. When I was at the end of my mandatory school years, I was like 15 or 16. We'd hang out and we'd do things that teenagers do. You know, you can imagine, I'm sure. This is where all the bin burning stories and whatnot come from. And at one point, our little group of friends, who was mostly like the same group of friends we had in school, but like outside of, we'd occasionally grow. We'd meet someone via the weird antics, and like they'd become a friend. We'd meet more, etc., etc. But at one point, one of our friends brings to us like, oh yeah, this is my new friend. I met him at a party or something, and the guy was 22. We're all 15, 16. This guy is 22. He has finished school. He's been out of school for a long time. He works. He did something involving a van. That's all I know about how he worked. And my thought about this was like, that's really like his sister, who is the same age as us in school, is 7 years younger than him. And okay, this is a funny thing, right? This is like, oh, we're hanging out with this really, it's like funny. He's like, like clearly something's wrong in his life, and that's why he went through great efforts to try and impress us. Like, snorted a sexual safety device that goes on. There you go. You work out what that means. The weird things that this guy did to like impress a group of again 15, 16-year-olds. And so like again, I was like sure like this would eventually happen, but like it kind of didn't. And I was like, oh yeah, like everyone's thinking it, right? Everyone's, you know, like this is gonna happen. We're just gonna eventually have this big confrontation. And actually we did. And in the worst thing, this is like the time in my life where I eventually did start YouTube. So funnily enough, like this weird guy and the weird human interactions around it is what led to me getting more into YouTube, because I stopped hanging out with my friends so much. Is because at one point, my friend makes a joke about this guy, because, you know, I didn't mention it to him, but he's just like, yeah, there's a 20, you know, like there's a guy who's clearly not liked by his friends. That's why he's chosen to hang out with a 15-year-old. And he made some joke about how our friend who met this guy, you know, like maybe he's too fond of him. Maybe that you know, like, you know, it's a teenage joke. Like, oh yeah, he's gay. He's stuck in the... Anyway, so he makes that joke, and I laughed at it, and I was like, ha 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 ha, that's a thing. And then the guy, this 22-year-old fella, like, apparently, I've heard this only from secondhand, was like genuinely madly angry and like threatened to bottle me quite seriously. If you don't know what bottling is, I don't know if that is a thing that goes outside the UK. It's like it's where you use a glass bottle and you smash on someone's... Anyway, so like, very, very randomly, this old gentleman hanging around with us. And I was like, that's real weird. And, you know, like, basically it was like a thing of like, oh yeah, so we think it's probably best you don't hang out near him. And it's like, oh yeah, sure, like, he's not going to come to fun places. But the friends did not choose, like, okay, yeah, we're gonna stop hanging out with the weird older gentleman who just threatened our friend. Instead, they hang out with him a lot more. But instead I could not do so instead, because they were worried for my safety or whatever, is what they said. I mean, do you really have to worry about someone like that? Is a fun debate for itself. But the reason I say this whole story is because my entire guess during the thing is that, like, yeah, of course people are going to realize, of course everyone's thinking this, and, you know, so we're going to do something about this, because this is kind of weird. It's just going to be a matter of time. But there's this weird thing where everyone can be thinking this exact same thought, but no one will say it. It's the darndest thing about humans that it's, you know, the bystander effect is a thing, but like you get it in social circumstances where, like, okay, someone says like, oh yeah, we should go out for dinner here. We should go. I really want some burgers, and no one disagrees with it. And you're like, no one likes that burger place you're recommending. Like, why is no one saying anything about it? And you're like, well, if they're not saying something about it, then clearly nothing's wrong. And every single person there will think that exact same thing. It's something about humans that doesn't make any sense, but like is totally a thing. And so yeah, after the fact, it turned out no one besides our one friend who introduced us to this, like, again, 7 years older than us person. You know, I thought it was weird at the time about a 22-year-old hanging out with a 14-year-old. Imagine, I imagine it's so much weirder and worse now when I reverse it and I'm like, imagine me hanging... Yeah. Whatever. My point is that, like, the weirdities of this are just kind of the fact that no one reacts, and knowing how people deal with, like, tragedies, knowing how people deal with crises, but also knowing how people deal with good things, like, people can be having the best time of their life, but you still need, like, a hype man to be like, yeah, this is good, to make people express it. That's why at concerts, it's the most annoying thing. I've never been to a live music thing, but I've been to a few, like, non-very formal ones, but they're always like, yeah, make some noise if you're happy. And even now, it makes me, like, genuinely, like, angry. I'm like, why do you feel the need to, you know, how about if I like it, I will make noise, and it's like, no, yeah, because, like, you know, like, it's an acceptable reason to go, woo, and when you say woo, you feel real good, and it's a whole thing, you know, in a way that it isn't otherwise. By the way, you know what, we're going to finally do it. Here are Depth Strider boots. Here's Depth Strider boots with protection and mending. Here's boots with protection. Oh wait, they already have protection. So it's unbreaking I need, I think. But we combine these things together, and we have the dream team set of... Yeah, we have to add some unbreaking on there. Oh, I've used up my last unbreaking book to make these shits. Well, if that isn't a beautiful sign of things to come. You know, I'll just make them now, and I'll add the unbreaking later. Except I totally won't remember to add them later, but that's not really my problem. So here we go. Depth Strider 3, Protection 4, Feather Falling 4, Mending 1. Boom. Are you happy? We got some boots. And then we take the Netherite ingot, my last one, and I combine them together, and now we finally have the perfect enchant. Are you happy, internet? Or are you just sad that now I don't have Unbreaking anymore? Let me know what you... Actually, wait, did I just have a perfect? No, I didn't. These have soft speed on. Which is even weirder if you dive into it. But yeah, I'm going to grab a couple of Unbreaking books so I can add Unbreaking to both of these, I guess. And also to more pairs of shears. I can't believe how many pairs of shears don't... Even my shears don't have it on there. But yeah, I think learning from experience is important. To learn about the people around you and how stuff like that happens and like, oh yeah, everyone thought it was weird. But like, no one said anything and went along... You know, these sorts of things happen all the time. Of just knowing that people are very... Knowing people's reactions to things is important, and that's why it's valuable to have someone who's been in the field for a long time, who's like seen their reactions to various events. Like, I don't know, what's an example is crossing a border is very easy. All you gotta do is you gotta meet the minimum requirements to go in, and you're good. Except actually, there's a ton of events that can make crossing a border harder that don't make any sense, like doing it, even though you are well within your legal rights to, I don't know, enter America as many times as you want in a year, as long as you don't spend more than 180 days there. And you have the valid visa and ESTA and all the other trillion forms that you need to do so. But even though it's like perfectly valid to do so, you do start to get more questions the more that you do it. And, you know, that's very, very quirky, you might say. And so, like, that's a thing I know from traveling a lot. Or, like, I don't know, I make a lot of... I make YouTube videos. And people always get it wrong about. Like, people say one of two things. Either you need to put, like, you know, dozens of hours to keep up on YouTube these days, and it's like, well, that's not fully true. You need the right... It's not about the effort fully, it's about, like, the idea and if you can sell that to people in a way. And the other thing people say is like, oh yeah, the smartest time to get into YouTube was 10 years ago. You can't get into YouTube now unless you're already big. And it's like, that's factually inaccurate. Every single day, there are YouTubers breaking into the space who are entirely unheard of before. Sure, there's an algorithm god that is between you and everyone else now, but actually that can work out in your favor. The number of YouTubers who came from nowhere via their mastery of the, you know, algorithm, it's a thing that happens all the time, and that's something you learn from experience. And so this whole video was about experience. I shared a very personal story, and a part of me is regretting it now. I'm like, you know, that's the one where, like, because it's like actually a personal one, and I've shared it with the internet. Now when I do get that 1% negative comments being like, wow, can't believe you didn't say more. You know, this is all your fault, Toycat. And I'm gonna be like, well, you know, can't even say you're fully at fault there. But yeah, I'm gonna trade with some villagers in my all the way over here village. And I hope you all enjoyed this Let's Play. This was recorded out of time, so sorry if you don't like that. But if you do like that, let me know with a like on the video. There we go. See that? That's the good stuff right here. I'm gonna spend my real emeralds, not even my Bob emeralds, and I'm gonna get myself some Unbreaking right now, which is of course the most valuable book, or some Infinity maybe. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. It's gonna be fun. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Are you the Unbreaking? Oh no, it's this guy. He lives in a little box by himself, and he offers me. There we go. That's what I want. Can you come closer, maybe? Okay. If I'll trade with you for your window, if that's what you want. Okay, so I need a book, and I need 40 levels, and I'll get Mending. Oh, I think my Unbreaking guy must be in the end, which isn't very smart to do, come to think of it. You know, that was a mistake. My bad. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed it, because I'll see you all in the next one. Is it worth making lanterns by buying them? Probably not, right?